If you haven't learned yet or found out that one of the biggest restrictions and limitations that people have is they never learn how to overcome one particular aspect in learning. So there's 4 stages of awareness from unconscious incompetence. When you don't know what you don't know, it's the worst state to be in. The next stage is conscious incompetence. Now you know what you don't know, but you don't have the ability to do it. What gets you from that one step to the second is books, seminars, and tapes. And that's why so many times people can go to a seminar, walk out of there, and not do it. The next step is from conscious incompetence, when you don't know what you don't know, but at least you know it, to conscious competence. In other words, you can do it, but you're not real good at it. That is where all the people become restricted in life, in every aspect of life, because essentially we're fighting fear of failure. We're challenging our own security. Our security is our second highest need in life. And that is why it is so difficult. And that's why so many people can't and don't get to what they want in life. They never learn how to cross from conscious incompetence to conscious competence. And then they quit. And then typically they blame other things besides themselves. Most people never even attempt it. They talk themselves out of it. From getting from conscious competence, knowing how to do it, to unconscious competence, that's when you're like a black belt, you're really good at it. That's pretty easy too. That's essentially repetition. So the first stage to the second stage is pretty easy. Books, seminars, and tapes. The third stage to the fourth stage is pretty easy. It's repetition, guided repetition. The second stage, unconscious incompetence to conscious competence, takes people out of the game. I have, in every aspect of life, you can apply it not just to what we're talking about, but every aspect of life. There's so many doctors that'll attend a seminar, that'll do this, do that, and they'll never even attempt to do what they spent money and time doing. They'll never even attempt it. You'll talk yourselves out of it before you even start. That's all that fear of inhibition. In other words, that's the human nature wanting to be secure. Secure. Don't go out of our comfort zone. It's unbelievably strong, and you're making one heck of a mistake underestimating it. And to know the formula of how to cross that chiasm, we'll talk about it in this workshop, but that's what's going to happen here. And so some of the key things that happens in a workshop is, number one, you have to have good material to start with. So we've got that. We've got material that works. Okay? Doesn't matter if you don't apply it though. Okay? Number two, we have to baby step it. You have whatever information you're trying to do. Personal injury attorney, educational sales, learning how to sail a boat, whatever it is you're doing. You got to break it down into unbelievably small pieces. If it seems like it's too much, you didn't break it down far enough. You didn't break it down far enough. It's got to be broken down. And by the way, this is how we train all our employees too. This is how I train my associate doctors. This is how I train my staff. This is how I get everybody to be a winner. This is how I train winners. Okay? Next is there has to be a no negative feedback. So when you're doing it, you have to be able to apply it without the potential of negative feedback. That's major. So that's what's going to happen here in the workshop. Nobody in here is going to fail this weekend. Nobody. That's major to allow you to take the step forward, to take the initiative. That perceived negative feedback is what challenges our security and stops us 98% of the time from even acting. So, no negative feedback, and then the next key is sensory and motor. It cannot just be sensory. That's why when you sit in a seminar, it can sound great. You walk out, you won't be able to do it. It's sensory and motor. That's why we pay so much attention to sensory and motor. What does that mean? Role playing. Role playing. It's got to be sensory and motor. You got to do it. You got to say it. You can't just hear it. And then the last piece, it has to be repetitive. And what's one of the key components of being repetitive? What is it? What's the saying? How long does it take to a memory neural filament to develop? In other words, a habit to develop in your brain? 21 days of repetition. 21 days. You want to get good at something? Do a little bit every day, not challenged. 21 days later, it'll be a total different story of how you think about it, how you perceive it. It'll be a total different thing. Okay? So that's what we do. Now that's what we're going to do in here. We don't have 21 days, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a lot of sensory and motor repetition. We're going to break it. We're going to break this material down into real small increments. Real small. If it's too much to you, we're going to break down smaller. If that's too much, we're going to break down smaller. If that's too much, we're going to break it down smaller. There's going to be no negative feedback. No negative feedback at all. You're totally allowed to fail. And then we're going to repeat it. Sensory motor. And then we're going to correct it while you're doing it. So I'm going to see how you're doing it. And then I'm going to adjust. Say, well, you need to modify this. You need to modify this. You need to add this. Be aware of this. That kind of thing.